I guess just talk a little bit about this past weekend. My days are running together. And, just kind of your team's performance at Rice this past weekend in the regular season finale.
Yeah, I think, obviously you go on the road and you play a very tough Rice team that hadn't lost a game at home since 2018. So we knew it was going to be a difficult task. I walked out of there, and that's what I told our team in the locker room we didn't play poorly. I thought we did some really good things. We struggled to score in the third quarter both days. I mean, it's a 3-point game with about 3 minutes to go in the third, and we just couldn't score. I thought we got it's a 2-point game on Saturday at halftime, led most of the second quarter. I thought we defended well. They shot it extremely well on Friday. If you go back and look, and they hit a half-quarter buzzer beater. They had a backup post player that was 1 of 8 from 3 on the year, and goes 3 of 4 and banks in one. So it was just kind of one of those days. And sometimes when you see some of those shots go in, they just keep going in. But again, I thought we competed much better offensively on Saturday. We took better shots. I thought we got really good shots on Saturday. It's a 2-point game at half, and then came out, and our first 5 shots of the third quarter were really good. They were the shots that we want certain people taking from certain spots on the floor, and they just didn't go down. And we're tied up. I think Anlosh scores, then they come down and score. It's tied up. We miss a shot. They come down. Nancy Mulkey hits her first 3 of the year. When you got a 6'9" kid step out and shoot a 3 and transition and make it, it's not something you're usually accounting for, but she did, and I think they kind of went on a little run right there. And then again, we're right there, and just couldn't find enough points. They're difficult to score against. I mean, we're the top 2 defensive teams in the league in terms of scoring defensive numbers. So, but pleased with our effort. I thought we competed well. It's just you don't want to end on a loss, obviously, and to end the regular season, but you're also playing a difficult team on the road and back-to-back days. So I was pleased with how we competed. We just got to be able to score the ball when you get in those situations.
Yeah, Coach, I know you were out rebounded both games by a substantial margin. Was that more of a, you guys' lack of ability offensively, or was that something that they did to kind of take you guys out of your element?
Yeah, I think if you look at the stats, you can see we turned them over 20 times in that first game on Friday, and they shot an extremely high percentage. I believe it's 50%. From 3 and 2, which is atypical of us to give that up, but they made shots. But when you turn it over, they were either making a shot or they were turning it over. So there weren't a lot of defensive rebounds for us to go get. And then offensively, we missed a lot more shots, so they had more opportunities to go defensive rebound. And with their transition, they like to rebound and go, and so we were really concerned about getting the ball stopped in transition and then guarding the 3-point line, obviously. So we didn't crash a whole lot. We had a few offensive rebounds, but not too many. But again, I think those numbers can be skewed a little bit too when you go, okay, they either turned it over or they made a shot. So there weren't a lot of misses on their part for us to go rebound on the defensive end.
Brooke, you got 9 days in between games now. Just talk a little bit about what your team's focus will be, and the fact that you don't have a game between this past Saturday and when you'll play on that Wednesday.
Yeah, we thought about 30 minutes ago, we thought we'd finally gotten one for Friday, but that's not going to pan out due to some testing issues. So we'll continue to practice. We'll continue to work on some things that we need to get better at, some things that we may see from, the crazy thing is you don't even know your opponent yet, which is typical, when we get to tournaments. So we know basically it could be 3 teams, and so we're preparing kind of a little bit each day for one of those 3, and we'll have a better idea, I think, after Thursday night. There's several Thursday games. We'll have a better idea of what scenarios could play out. The East is really bundled up over on the other side, so we'll see who that is. But just maintaining conditioning, getting up lots of shots, fine-tuning some things offensively. And then from a competitive perspective, we still have our guys, practice players here, and so we'll simulate a game and do that actually twice this week. And so we're still getting that up and down competitive feel, and they challenge us on the glass, and I think that's what, an area we need to continue to focus on. We've been pretty good rebounding all year, aside from a couple of series last weekend being one of them. But we'll continue to do that just so we stay sharp. You won't have the game atmosphere of, fans in the stands, but we didn't play in front of fans last weekend either. So I think it's March, it's winning time, and it's time to just continue to get better and maintain our conditioning and then focus in on what we can do to improve and prepare before we find out who we play.
And you talk about the conference tournament that starts up next Wednesday. How comfortable are you at this point in the season? I know you've talked a lot about, the camaraderie of your team, the togetherness, and how well you guys have been playing. I know you had a little bit of a hiccup this past weekend at Rice, but overall, I guess more importantly, from a mental standpoint, how do you feel about the team right now?
I think they're in a good place. We're going to honor our seniors. And the men are going to play tomorrow night. We're going to honor our seniors at halftime of that. And so I think they were really excited and appreciative that we were, it was going to be kind of a little private ceremony. And then Mary Kay and Malcolm and, we just kind of had some ideas of going, okay, let's be able to try to put them in front of fans if we can't get a game. And so being able to do that, I think they appreciated that. Our team, will be excited to kind of celebrate them a little bit. But I think they're in a good place. This group is easygoing. We're in finals, so today's the last day of classes, and that's always a big relief. Yesterday was a little sluggish. We had a couple of players that had a pretty heavy load yesterday in terms of finals that were important. And so I think once you get out of today and there's no class, it's just, hey, let's go to the gym and hoop. I think it's a fun time for them. We'll do some fun stuff, and again, you're limited on what you can do with COVID and our protocols and, some of the things that we've done in the past. But we'll get creative. My staff's done a really good job of coming up with some things to be competitive, to get their competitive juices flowing and have a little fun with it too. I just think you got to keep them sharp, you got to keep them fresh, and you got to keep them engaged at this time, especially when you got a 9-day period. But I like where we are. A lot of people have hiccups when they go to Rice the last 3 years, so I don't want to put too much on that, but there are some things that we've got to come out of last weekend and correct.
Well, I think.
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I think too. You talk about a lot of teams having hiccups at this point in the year. After a tough road trip, how important do you think it is to kind of back off a little bit? You know what you got in your roster, 22 games in, and kind of keep, I guess, more of a positive mindset as you get ready to try to go win, 4 games in 4 days.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. It's a positive mindset. These kids know what they have to do. We've corrected and we've taught all year long. We've challenged them, and I think as a staff and as a head coach, you have to have a feel for your team. You have to know what that pulse is, and feel like we have a pretty good feel of where they are mentally and emotionally, and they're a resilient group, and I know they'll bounce back. We usually play pretty well after not playing or not having a good outcome, and I think they've been able to turn the page pretty quickly. So I think the bad part about having this time off is typically you can get back out there and play, and so we have to wait a little bit longer. But we've tried to, we try to make everything competitive in practice. There's a winner and a loser, our side, their side, and we want to continue to maintain that every day throughout the season. But I think you got to make it fun at this point. We're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds that you think back a year from now, when all this started, and they've been through a lot. We all have, but they've handled themselves really well, and I think it's important that they hear that from us, that we appreciate how they've handled things. They haven't griped, they haven't complained. I know I've said this a couple of times. They may, at least they're smart enough not to do it around us where we can hear it if they are doing it. But I think that goes a long way. I think if you're doing that stuff behind the scenes, it carries over to how you compete. It carries over to your teammates, and we talk a lot about great teams having great teammates, and this group has some really good teammates. And so we want to build on that. We do a lot of stuff, talking through a lot of things as far as that goes, of how we can be good teammates. And it's not just, on the court, off the court. It's, it's our mentality and our approach. And so I think it's something that it's really important this time of year. You can't, if you're out there going 3 and 4 hours at end of February and March, you either have some robots that are just not human, or you are not going to be very good, because I just think this day and time you can't do that at this point. Like, players are going to go make plays. It's our job to put them in a position to be successful, but it's our job to make sure that we understand where they are mentally and emotionally as well.
Brooke, you talked about having a positive mindset going into next week, and how much? It's been 12 months, but how much does last year and the fact that you guys won and the last time you walked off the court at the Stoehr in Frisco, well, the last time you finished playing a game walking off the court in Frisco, you had this group had a great feeling, and you still feel like maybe you still have a little bit of unfinished business, even if it's a new team.
Yeah, I think our returners, we've actually talked about that from pretty much from this time last year, or March 11th, 12th, to now. We've brought that up a couple of different times. It could be random, but we've brought it up and we've talked about it. I thought about it, on the bus home the other night, of kind of turning the page and getting ready to think about, our prep going into Frisco. And I think it's going to be a weird, strange feeling walking back in there. Like, I know how weird it felt, and I was going through, my thoughts of, what are we dealing with? Do we even know what we're dealing with? Are we going to get home and they're going to go, oh, this isn't that big of a deal? Well, obviously it has been, and a year later we're still dealing with it. So I think there'll probably be, we'll talk about it, as a group before we go again, but I think there will be some emotion too from some of our kids. I think they're driven. They've talked about it. They were upset that we didn't get to play Middle Tennessee 2 weeks ago because that was who we were supposed to play when we got canceled. And so they were fired up just, to be able to do that. And so I think they're excited. But I think there will definitely be some kind of weird emotions, but at least we're not staying at the same hotel. I think that'd be kind of odd. But I'm excited. I know they are. They're ready to get there. This is what, teams you play for all year long to set up for March, and especially I think in a situation this year where they're going to take, most mid-major conferences are going to be a one-bid league this year. I just have to believe that based off the way rankings are going and some other things. But we've got to be ready to go and just have some fun with it.
Ben, you got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, thanks, Brooke.
Awesome. Let's hope we get to play and we don't. My biggest fear is that we're gonna have gone all year long and we get there and get popped with a positive. I'm gonna be distraught. I'm pretty sure.
That's not going to happen.
Yes. Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks.